The views and comments expressed on the following radio program by its hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of RMCOnAir.com or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
I see what you're doing, yeah, I see what you go through. Put my lighter in the air, the truth is you're beautiful, 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 beautiful. Now put your lighter in the air for us. Everybody singing together, sing a new song. Put your lighter in the air for love. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Sonny Wells. We miss you, man, but we know you're getting work done out there with the young boys, man. The city championship tonight for Lawndale. If you guys get this win tonight, we know you're going to represent CIF championship, state finals, and so, you know, we're wishing you well, man. But today, I'm your host, Big Feats, DeJuan Scott sitting in for Sonny. To my left is my main man, Gary Gaspar. Gary, tell him hello.
Hello, everybody out there. That's all I can say, man.
Cool
Nice
breeze, cool
Nice
breeze. See, that's what Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles will do to you.
Oh, man. I told you if I had the briskets and bait, that gravy and biscuits would have been over. So.
And from the Earth's core, from the body man himself, Cordell Sr., welcome back.
Thank you very much. More uncommon sense from the common man.
KC, Globetrotter extraordinaire, just got back from the Far East for another, what is it, China?
Yeah, it was China.
What part of China?
Beijing, Chaoyang district.
Oh, man. That district? Not that district.
Yeah, that district, just in case y'all knew.
Boy, I heard things. We're going to hear all about it a little bit more, man, a little bit later. Matter of fact, I'm just now looking to see that they're going to do a biopic of Bruce Lee's life story. Now, isn't that interesting?
That is. That's great.
Man, it's about time.
My idol.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like I learned a lot about from him secondhand from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem, right.
You know, Kareem told me how they used to babysit each other's kids and, you know, real story. And how, when he worked with him, he was very demanding that you be in shape. And so he would work with the Steve McQueens and the James Colburns and, you know, the Hollywood elite and the whole nine yards. Yeah. But he respected the fact that Kareem was always in shape and took care of his body.
Right.
You know, and you know, a lot of inside stories there, man. I know you study, you got 2 cents. What you got?
Well, Bruce was on the cutting edge of fitness at a time when most people, I won't say weren't. He was just ahead of his time, you know. He, at the level that modern athletics are at right now as far as conditioning and just conditioning, overall conditioning. Yeah, he was there then, and so he could appreciate a person that was operating at that at a world class level.
Now, both Gary and KC have experience in China. Mm-hmm. You know, what's he viewed over there, man? I mean,
you know, I think that Jackie Chan's much bigger than he is right now. There's a lot of people, you know,
young kids.
Well, they remember, yeah.
It's who remembers. It's a new generation.
It's a new generation.
Wow.
And
so there's no posters, there's no nostalgia, no retro.
No, I didn't really see a lot of it, you know.
Really?
But I did see a lot of, you know, them, you know, really glorifying Jackie Chan.
Here and now.
He's alive.
So it's a totally different era, but Jackie Chan would probably be the first to tell you that he probably paved the way for him to be able to do that, you know.
Jet Li?
Jet Li, same thing.
Okay.
You know, so he's bigger than any of the names or mystiques that I've heard of Bruce Lee in China.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've had an NBA death today. Mm. You know, a real pioneer in every sense of the word. Earl Lloyd was the first. He was the Jackie Robinson of the NBA. Let's just put it that way. And if I would have been old enough to understand what he had did, I wouldn't have had so much vitriol for the Celtics my whole life. Because of all places, Boston is where this guy broke
the color line.
You know, and I mean, I've got a lot to say about it, but I'm gonna let you guys weigh in first, man. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm just impressed that he never gets any of the due credit, or he's never equated with the other icons from the other sports. But come to think of it, who's the first NFL black guy?
He played for.
Matter of fact, I know.
He played for. I just saw the documentary the other day, and he played for Paul Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next crop would have been here at the Coliseum. There were 2 black guys who
for the Los Angeles.
I just saw the documentary not even 3-4 days ago, and I can't remember the names. But I think to piggyback what you're saying is, when you talk about somebody being the first, no matter where he is, but to imagine what it would have been like back then, in Boston.
I told him earlier. It may well
I don't
have
even
been
want to go to
Alabama.
Boston now. In Boston,
yeah.
That would have been a true
testament to Red Auerbach too. Though he brought him in there, and like Brooks, but no, who was it? Branch Rickey brought in Jackie Robinson.
I saw some pretty classic videos, like homemade movies of the NBA guys that worked the Catskills. Wilt Chamberlain was a bellhop.
Really?
In
yes, he was
the Borscht Belt. Up there in Niagara Falls and Connecticut, and they had built all these lavish hotels.
I remember seeing this documentary.
And Auerbach would go up there, and he would work with Bill Russell, and he'd work with Wilt Chamberlain, and he would work, and they would play games. And he'd have Abe Saperstein up there, and they'd do some network.
Hey.
And but to my memory, I never saw Lloyd a part of that or documented that he was. He just, he was there, but he was just slept between the cracks all the time.
And you said he had great numbers.
Oh, he had great numbers, man. I mean, let me tell you something, man. When you look at what Wilt Chamberlain did and what Bill Russell did, Wilt's thing was, at the time, he left. They changed rules for him in high school.
Because of the dunking.
Yeah, well, the rule for him in high school is that if you came out of a high school or a college and it was near a professional team, that professional team had the rights to draft you. Because it was all about being homegrown at the time. That's why he chose...
Philadelphia?
No, he chose...
the Globetrotters.
No, he went from, he left Philadelphia.
Kansas,
okay. Because no NBA team could lay claim to him, to his rights. So it was very calculated on his part. And I remember how they recruited him and gave him the best trip ever, Tuskegee Airmen, the whole 9 yards, Lawrence, Kansas. And then when he went back to Philadelphia and was driving back to go to pick up his stuff to go to school, how he couldn't eat all along the way to get to Kansas. And then when he got to Lawrence, he wasn't allowed to stay on campus or in the city of Lawrence. He had to stay on the outskirts. They kept all the racism away from him. And then the coach that recruited him was mentored by Nesmith. And as soon as he got to school, the coach was replaced. So he had a coach that didn't even recruit him. So he was only there 1 year, and he went to the finals. And the prestigious thing at that time was the Globetrotters.
And that's where he went.
And that's where he went. I mean, because you got to play in front of, like you guys know, man. I mean, he's in Russia. He's in, I think they were setting Guinness Book of World Records playing in West Berlin Stadium in Germany and being paid in caviar and, diamonds with Brezhnev. And, it was a thing. And he was making way more money then than anybody. But when he did go into the NBA, he wasn't the first, but he felt as though because of his dominance, that when he would go up to dunk a ball, if somebody stuck their hand up there to block it, he would allow them because he didn't want to break it and set brothers back. And it was like, so him being such a public figure, But Lloyd quietly came in there. You never heard about all, and we got to know. Wasn't allowed to stay with the team because Bill Russell and them had that too.
Yeah, Bill Russell.
Yeah, and they weren't
he
allowed
would
to
have
stay
paved the way for Bill if he'd been in Boston.
You know, and but I gotta applaud him, man. I mean, I really do.
I heard it this morning. Was it this morning or yesterday?
Yeah, this morning is when I got the news.
And Mr. Spock died this evening.
Oh man, we're gonna take a break and we'll come back on Spock. You got to calm.
Hey, are you tired of those same old energy drinks with bad taste? Make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink. With a guaranteed no aftertaste, Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products. With a guaranteed no aftertaste, make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink. Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products. For more information on Pitbull energy drinks, bars, and mixes, visit their website at hiphopbev.com. That's hiphopbev.com. Online orders available at hiphopbev.com.
If Monday back.
We're back. Hey, we ended on Spock, so I just gotta. we all grew up on that. You know what I mean? And I tell you why. Uhura was one of the main reasons. They had a black person on TV with a miniskirt.
Yes,
that was groundbreaking. So you had my vote every week. But then too, it was a good show for me. Fantasy as a young kid.
She was fine.
9 yards, man. And so Spock. You will be missed, even from
peace,
Fringe.
Rest in peace.
Now, back to sports, fitness.
Well, he tweeted out, "Live long and prosper." Before that was his last tweet.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that's what they said on the radio. And in that regard,
wow, what a segue.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have the fitness gurus here. Which gurus gonna take spotlight first?
Well, I was having a conversation with Gary last week, and he told me that he was still in pretty good shape, and he could still ball. He could still bring it.
My knees are knocking.
I can vouch. I can vouch for that.
You can vouch.
Coach is still hungry. I can vouch for that.
And my natural question was, well, what do you do to stay in condition to do that? Because it's an abusive thing after 30, 40 years old. It's an abusive activity. And so, I know that you have to put in some nutritive or nurturing type of exercises or some type of conditioning in order to be able to go out there and still execute in this small window.
Well, with that being said, as we all get older, we all have to adjust to certain things that we just can't do anymore. But fitness has always been in my life. I started at 14 years old, my father being a military guy, and him being really tough on us would always make me want to do better, do something extra. And I think I told Dewan and Sonny this on my first interview here. I think the longevity of myself is because of that. I had a work ethic that truly was bar none. I was never out of shape. Could never imagine myself being in the gym and not putting up 100 or 150 jump shots. I couldn't imagine myself just playing 1 or 2 games a day if I was off the season and I had to get my work done during the season. But the one thing that I always worked on in my concentration was what I needed. Not what everybody else was doing, was what I needed.
Individually.
Yeah, so as I got older, I really got into the weights because my wife is a 5-time world champion bodybuilder. Her name is Laura Boldry. I'm very fortunate to be married to her. She knows everything about the body, period. And when I first met her, I put on 30 pounds of muscle, and we were in Dubai. And
How
then
old were you at that time?
I was 39 at that time.
And you put on the 30
I put
pounds
on
of
30
muscle.
pounds of muscles within 4 months. And I did it with her help. But
ingesting protein?
It was protein. I went on a regimen of lifting weights, and I did it 6 times a week. I had a cheat day, which would be a Sunday, where diet-wise I could eat anything, and then I go right back to my cycle again.
I like the cheat day.
Yeah, you have to have that in order to form some type of, I don't know, consistency. The reason being because we're just human. We're not programmed by a key. We're human. We do make errors and we make mistakes. But in order to keep me going, I incorporated a cheat day, and then I went to China. Through a 10-year process. Then I wound up going to China, and I'm still on the weights, and I'm actually lifting heavier weights, getting a lot stronger. But then I developed a sciatic nerve, and the sciatic nerve was a wake-up call. So I come home. My wife.
How old were you then?
I was 53. I'm 54 now. This has been a year.
Oh, okay.
And I dropped 40 pounds within this past year, all through just doing a cardio. And I swim in the pool. I would do kickouts in the pool, basketball type of drills in the pool, and then I would swim. And of course, I do my own training with the young kids in my area, and that also keeps me young. But the only thing that I really can't do on a basketball court right now at this point at my age is dunk a basketball. Everything else skill-wise I still have.
Everything.
I still have
Got
my quickness.
Your wind?
My wind is, here and there because I don't play like I used to. And the reason being because, I'm sure Dee can vouch for this. Once you get out there and the juices start flowing, you have to understand who we really are.
Yeah.
I'm a pro. Okay, I'm not a guy who sits out there and plays around. So I'll pop you a couple of times, and then you'll be like, "Oh, dude, really?" And okay, no, really, I'm a pro. So if you're coming through the lane, or it's just certain things that you just have to understand. So I understand my body. I understand the limitations because if I didn't, I'd be injured all the time.
Right.
So
right.
But I've been really blessed to have the regimen, the discipline, the know-how, and then the follow-through. So
and it is work.
And it has worked for the time being. And
it is work.
It's definitely work. It's still work, especially at this age. You feel it too a lot more. But Casey's a younger guy. Him training over in China and working with players over there and younger players here, he has a different regimen. So, let's just see what he's talking about.
You do a lot of running?
Me personally, when I was over in China, I wasn't able to go ahead and get out there as much and run. Reason being, it's too cold. You can't really get out there in cold. And inside the facility that I was at, there's no treadmill or anything
Define
like that.
cold. New York cold, or what are we talking?
He got off light. Okay, because I told him that when he went there was no snow. The 3 years I was in Beijing, there's snow everywhere. Wow. So his cold compared to the cold I'm talking about, he got off light. But it's still cold in Beijing. And then again, running, I wouldn't run there because of pollution.
And
pollution.
And the lip factor. I'm not trying to go and have no super chapped lips while I'm training kids or coming back to.
Well, a black man can't run anywhere in the world without getting his scope on and resting.
That's right. That's right. And they always see you, man. That's for sure. They see you.
Where's they running from?
I was the only one there too, so that's definitely. The police aren't really around there as much. But to get back, the facility that I was at, there was no treadmill to go ahead and do any particular cardio. You would get most of your cardio from being on the basketball court. Sometimes when it wasn't as cold or the wind wasn't cutting as much, you can go ahead and get to the track to get some footwork done as well as some track work. But most of the cardio that you're going to go ahead and do is high intensity anyways. It's not going to be anything where you're running 3 to 5 miles because that's low impact cardio, and that's not something that you want to do as a basketball player because you don't use that on the court. Everything is change of direction speed. Going from sprinting full speed to stopping, sitting down, and turning right back.
Now, to piggyback that, the importance of that is what? Because when we train, the way that we train kids, we train together, we try to make sure that we identify that everything has to be a sprint. There's nothing that you have to jog to it. If it's a screen, if it's a blast, everything is a sprint. Basketball is all sprinting. There's no jogging, so therefore you wouldn't have any low impact.
It's and as far as the training in any type of lifting as well, because we actually when I did the strength and conditioning for the players as well, they actually did lift. But everything that you do lifting wise, you want to go ahead and make sure that it coincides with what you do on the basketball court. Otherwise, it's wasted movement, and it's wasted risk on injury as well.
So you're talking what type of movements with weights?
Everything is
extension,
hang cleans, clean and jerks. You want to do extension of RDLs to make sure their hamstrings are stretched. You want to do a lot of balance stuff as well, because unfortunately in the basketball court you don't have the ability to just sit down and push some weight. Everything has to be done off 1 foot, two feet, out of you not being set to do what you're about to do. So I want to make sure that all that coincides with exactly what we're doing in the weight room. To go back and touch on the cardio as well, as far as how the training goes, you want to make sure that the kids don't learn bad habits, and that's a big thing as well. And unfortunately, whatever you do, whether you get up in the morning to put your underwear or your socks on a certain way, it forms a habit. So when you're lifting weights, if you're doing movements that are not necessary for basketball and you're lifting those weights, unfortunately, somehow, some way, you're learning that habit to go ahead and bring to the basketball court, which could go ahead and make you either, it could benefit you, but in most times it's going to make it worse for you.
Out of place.
Yes, because it has no belong on the basketball court. So that's what goes with sprinting and whatnot, because you don't get to go ahead and jog back and forth on the court for a full 48 minutes.
How old are the kids that you're working with?
On the weekend, I had kids. So on the weekend, you're looking at 13 to 15. But during the week, Monday through Friday, 18, 19, some CBA players coming back, a couple NBA players as well. So they're men, especially in China. They're considered men.
His training was totally different because you have to recognize what the system is in China. The system is totally different to where they would go to a home and take your 13-year-old child, and your whole rights would now be to this club. And that would be until he's either 20 years old or until he retires as a professional basketball player. Now, the medium in between there, if you have a lot of kids who are caught and not able to make their teams,
right,
then therefore
what happens to them?
They have nothing, because there's no education, nothing to fall back on. So therefore they're just part of the slave mentality that the Chinese have.
They end up doing what type of
they do the grunt work. They'll drive you here, go here, do all the little stuff, and the meaningless stuff, you know. It means something, but the stuff that they don't want to do.
Right.
And it really is grunt work. They won't have a car. They'll have to take a bus or a train or a trolley.
And you're on that path for life.
And you're on that path for life. So what I wanted to suggest, in a sense, to the CBA is, you have 1 billion people, you have the largest population in the world. Why can't you format the same thing as your neighbors? Australia, New Zealand, France, they all have sports institutions to where you can identify both education and sport. And I think if the Chinese did that, they really wouldn't be backwards in basketball. They're not even in the top 10 in the world.
I thought they were.
No. They didn't even make it to the Olympics because Taiwan beat them.
That goes to the also, as far as, I don't want to say government, get political or anything like that at all, but what in fact happens is they're not able to have the individual citizens be able to view certain things on sites, on websites, videos. Everything's blocked. You need a VPN to go ahead and access certain sites. YouTube is blocked. Instagram, Twitter, all those methods, all those resources that we use here to research things, whatever it may be. Coach asked me a question in the car as far as actually even looking up old videos of him.
Now you say that, and I was doing some research that says that over 500 million Chinese are on the internet.
Yes.
Oh, every day.
They're on the internet.
As far as Apple is concerned, they can retire in China. I'm telling you right now. You can go. Am I lying?
No.
There's an Apple store on every corner, maybe 2 or 3, like a liquor store.
Wow. They've done like $1.8 trillion in internet transactions.
It's crazy,
just purchasing stuff.
They're always on the.
Yeah, you told me about the stat the other week.
Their website is.
It's Baidu.
That's BAID. That's Baidu.
And their crowdfunding is projected to hit $50 billion in 10 years.
They can buy anything they want on the internet. They just can't watch any videos that they want.
Right.
They can't interact with other people that like they want to.
Yeah, I was reading about how it was starting to be an issue that they had this internet as a window, and that they can support certain things, but there's such a watchdog to make sure that it doesn't get political.
The government watches everything that they do, and you have to remember how they control. You have an individual process here that we think as individuals, and we're encouraged to do so.
They're the Borg.
There are even my interpreter.
The collective.
Yes, even my interpreter, a very
Spock.
intelligent young man. He spoke perfect English. But even he did not know how to go to his boss to negotiate for his next contract. So he's like, Coach, can you help me? All right, so what did you make this time? So you give him the form of what you made, and you says, okay, this is the way you need to do this is how you process, this is how you go and ask for this.
He had no concept of
They
negotiation.
had no concept of whatsoever what to do in order to help himself.
But there's a bigger issue too, Gary, and you brought this up, and I'd like you to comment on it, man, about how the training regimen is so severe for pros. Like, Yao played a full season in the NBA, you go to the playoffs, you come home, you have to play for the national team, then you got to play for the team that brought you in, which was the Shanghai Sharks, and he was always hurt.
Well, the biggest thing was, you got to remember the deal that the NBA made with the government in order to get him.
Right.
So when they made that deal, they opened up the floodgates to saying, okay, Yao, you're just a piece of meat now.
You got to play 24/7.
You got to play for us, and you got to play for him.
Yeah.
That was the format for him to leave. If he wouldn't have signed and agreed to that, and the government wouldn't agree with the NBA, he would never play.
And you see what happened?
We would have never saw him.
It's the repetitive motion, abusive type of exercise that eventually just wore him down.
Trauma.
But there's also
Wore down
another
his
thing
body
that you
part.
guys don't know, okay, and I told you this. You know it now. You can have a 7'2", strong, 310 pounds, 320 pounds. He's probably got decent-sized hands, but when you get to his feet, I wear a 15, and I'm 6'6". In a 7'2", 7'4", they have small feet.
Wow.
So you're based on a size
Is that right?
11.
Balance,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
I had
wow.
3 7-footers on my junior team that wore a size 12.
Wow.
They were 7-footers.
You just push them around.
Really?
Because when you start to, you push them around. They have no
Yeah.
balance. So,
I didn't know that occurred.
oh yeah,
That's a phenomenon I did not know about.
It's true, but they say Yao had big feet though.
Yao did, and
Yao
he
had
has
big
big feet. That's why he lasted so long in
As
the
long
league.
as he did, yeah.
But he didn't last as long because he wouldn't play defense. But he did the right thing. He did the right thing for him. He knew that he would be juggling an NBA career. He already had 6 years. He already needed a pension. That's all he needed.
Yeah.
And he went home. He's a star in his own country.
Oh, yeah.
And they're loving it. He's not going nowhere. But at the same time, back to your question is, the reason why Yao broke down is because of the way that it was set up for him when they first signed. And the government never relinquished from giving him a break.
Obligations, yeah.
There were no breaks. And when he did his foot, the reason why he couldn't heal because he had to rush back to the national team.
But how do you get past that ride him till the wheels falls off mentality?
They're doing the same thing
Because
to Derrick
this-
Rose.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what the Chinese do. 6 days a week they train, 2 times a day, 9 to 11, 3 to 5. You're off on Sunday. That's a grind. That means you're a slave every single day. You should be training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, having a day off for weights and relaxation, Tuesday and Thursday. Saturday should be, if I can put them as a combo, if I need to be, but very light. We understand how to train. When you go to China, you have to understand, when you sign that contract as a head coach, yes, I'm being paid as a head coach, and I'm making money. But I'm doing everything to show face for the next guy because that's the way the country is run. So I'll do the game plan. I'll do the film. I'll break down everything that we're going to run offensively and defensively. I'll call it for the sideline. I'll stand up on the sideline and run the team. But at the end of the day, that guy sitting right next to me with the big Chinese tie on, that's him. That's the guy I got to answer to. So it's that slave mentality that's incorporated in everything. You know what I'm talking about, that 9 to 12. Sometimes they don't have to train.
They lift Monday. The 6 days a week that they're doing too, they're lifting weights.
Every day.
Those are weights. And you know, the crazy thing
no
about
rest.
it is
That's
the
where you get
6th day, if they do give them a rest, you know what it's a rest from? Skills training, basketball, on the court work. You're not getting a break from this 6th day of lifting weights, but you may get a break from being on the basketball court.
Well, you know what? The biggest thing,
mentality.
The biggest thing here is that you take all the love for the game away. I mean, it becomes just a job, and you don't want to even. I mean, I would hate having to. You know,
Let me tell you
it's
something.
like,
As a coach, an American coach, after some of the practices, and I would see my kids' faces, and I would try to tell my GM or my assistant GM, I want them off this afternoon. The first thing they would tell me is no, because the gym is allocated by the government and they have to use the gym. How retarded is that?
And did
To
you
us
ever
it
have
is.
any?
To us it is. The other thing is, as a coach, I can say certain things, but I can't overstep my boundaries. And this is overstepping your boundary. You go into a gym where we have all these weights, and then you see 14 other machines sitting on the side that are broke. They're all treadmills. They're just sitting there. They're just in a way. But weights are just stacked on top of each other. Why don't we take this out, get rid of this, and then we'll have a lot more room? No, coach, you can't do that. You can't go that. You could lose your job over that. And that's a common sense thing that we see as individuals in this country. But I have to ask permission for that.
wow. Man. Well, let's go to a commercial. When the show's over. Man, well, on that note,
Are we? How
yeah,
much
we're
time?
done, man, but I'm speechless, man. I guess we're gonna sign out. Until next week, we hope Sonny and them got it done, and
We prayed.
hey, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper all. How they do it?
Go Pandas.
This is right here. There you
Go Pandas.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
we can give Spock his thing, too.
yeah.
Man. Give Spock his friend do. Yay.
What's your style? Curly? Straight? Wavy? Or maybe you like it natural? Introducing Secret Styling Hair Care Products by Smith Products Company, LLC. A complete line of hair moisturizers, shampoos, conditioners, and an assortment of other hair styling aids formulated for today's fashion-conscious consumer. Enhance your style. Get the secret.